Good morning. Personal growth, what does that even mean? And there's a couple things I've been working on. I've been reading, I'm working with a client and we just finished, in fact, or we're getting near the end of module tool of the Raise Your Resilience Toolbox program, which is the emotional module. And I just continue to be amazed. And so I'm reading a couple of things. One is I decided to go back and it's Robert Plutchik's book called Emotions, or the Emotions, in which, and now this is an older book, he goes over some of the older theories of emotion, what they are, how they express, and some of the initial um, understandings had a lot to do with the body. And recently I started to, because another client, I'm moving into the cognitive side, the cognitive module of the Raise Your Resilience program. And that shifts gears a little bit, but it begins to touch on memory. Now, in the Raise Your Resilience program, there is no focusing on the trauma or necessarily the memories. We tend to regulate against those because the body will do the healing. But anyway, I'm starting to see a similarity between the different types of memory and the emotions, dating all the way back to Plutchik, because in Trauma and Memory by Peter Levine, he talks about the four different types of memories, and we think of it as explicit and implicit, and that's true. Within each of those, there's two, and so as I was sharing yesterday with somebody or somewhere, there with the explicit, there's the declarative. Okay. My 16th birthday, came downstairs. I can still remember it. This is pretty, I could have been taking a test, but I came downstairs. Dad was sitting in the kitchen across the table, smoking and reading the newspaper. Mom was at the kitchen. I'm sure she was smoking, had a cigarette somewhere, and doing something at the sink. I can still remember the layout of the kitchen. I came down the stairs. There's the door into the kitchen. There's mom. There's dad going to school. Bye. Not a word was said. It was my 16th birthday. 16th, mind you. This is your official, I can drive now. And okay. And as I was talking, because one of the important ones is the procedural. That's what we think of as implicit. This is the way life is. This is how we do things, riding a bike. And as I was talking about this, interestingly enough, I had this experience of remembering riding a bike from my house in Arlington Heights at the time to Lake Zurich. And I was a kid. So this was back roads. There was, and I'm sure it doesn't look like that anymore. I have yet to look at that map of, and actually it was between Arlington Heights and Lake Zurich because it used to be just farm roads, which was easy to navigate. Anyway, that was suddenly in what we call here the other one of explicit. There's the declarative and the episodic. And maybe it's episodic, but I think it's episodic. Anyway, that's what I had while I'm talking. The two within intrinsic are procedural and emotional. And procedural is mostly in the body. It's like riding a bike. Put your foot back up on the pedal and you give it a little push and you swing your other leg over. Or if you're getting to be a bit older like I am, you might be thinking, oh, I should have bought one of those step throughs. It would have been easier. And granted, it would have been, but I bought the have to swing your leg over for a reason. It makes me have to swing my leg over. So I have to pay attention to how flexible my hips are. Because part of personal growth still at my age is my own body. Because my own body is attached to my memories, it is attached to my emotions. So I still have my declarative sense of when I was sexually abused, all the rest of that stuff does not upset my life anymore because it doesn't run my life anymore. That's what personal growth means. It means I am free of the past. They aren't chained to me anymore. I'm not dragging that weight. Think of it in terms of a number line, and I'm sure I've mentioned this many times. The number line is, we have 0 to whatever off to the positive side here, and then we have 0 to the negative side over there. That's how we look at it. We call those negative numbers. And in financial terms or monetary terms, this is wealth, that's debt. That's kind of the reason we call that negative. We don't like that weight. We could call that negative. We could call that uncomfortable, suboptimal. I don't like this. Personal growth means I've healed my trauma and come to this place at the 0. All right. Now I can stay at that 0. In monetary terms, that means I'm like one paycheck away from a disaster back in the negative. All right. Well, why stay there? Personal growth means I go from the 0, this way. Now we're talking about personal wealth. I get to be over here. It's learning to flow in life's expansions and contractions. Because that's what life does. Life pulsates. I breathe. The tree you see behind me, that's breathing. Right now, its trunk is squeezing. It's pulsating because it needs water out of the ground to get all the way up to these leaves, which are behind me. I'm at the 2nd story. Okay. How is water getting from the ground up to those leaves? The tree is pulsating. That's the flow of life. Once I get into that flow, but what it takes to get from that flow is I can't be over here. That just can't happen. That's constriction. That's like putting a band around the tree. It'll eventually kill the tree because the tree won't be able to pulsate. And that's what I learned to do. So for me, it's a matter of pulsating with it. I get this expansion first around emotions and, I get all excited about this. Okay, now what's going to be the contraction? Which is interesting because what am I exhaling? I'm exhaling the things that if they stay in my body hurt me. That helps me. Getting rid of the stuff that hurts me eventually kills me. So it's this process. That's where personal growth is. I can grow exponentially, emotionally. I'll use that term spiritually. We could think of it in terms of awareness or consciousness, and we're still out. We still have no way to define those terms, do we? None that we agree upon. We know what the body is, and pretty much we don't know how it necessarily works all the time, and we know that it does age, does die. It will return to the stuff outside. Hallelujah. There's the circle of life. That I know happens. That tree will change colors, drop its leaves, and look like next time this year, it'll look just like that, barring some climate weird stuff. Anyway, personal growth. That's what it means. It means to be past the 0. A survivor could be just if your healing means you're just managing symptoms, look into a different form of healing. Honestly. You can heal trauma without having to manage symptoms. I don't manage anything. I grow. I move into this flow of pulsation, moving forward. Comfort zone, I get out of that every day. Then I might make a new one, and then I get out of that the next way. That you just keep moving forward. It's kind of like the whole Star Trek thing. Walking on the new off into a new adventure. It's pretty rare they ever went home. I think the only time I went home was when they invited a disaster to it. Anyway, personal growth can be that way, an adventure. You just have to be aware that some of the contractions that happen are natural. Cool, work with them. But have that personal wealth. And I have nothing to support this. However, if hard pressed, I could probably get into this discussion. If you need pocket wealth, you want personal wealth first. I could probably build that case. And I've oftentimes used it in terms of the ROI on healing your trauma. It can have one. Mine is measurable. I'm not going to say I'm the best example or the only example, but I am one. In any event, personal growth. Attend to it. Because once you get there, this is like being in a classroom that just is not in. And I'm talking about a lab. I'm talking about your home ec class. Woohoo! For those of us who just love to cook, ironing, yeah, okay. I'm not real excited about that, but I do it. And then the shop classes, okay. How I want things in my closets, the bookshelves behind me, I made those. And those reflect my years of being a carpenter because of the woods that I used. They're attached to the wall minimally, but this is some of the stuff that personal growth can allow you to move into. Having some of that hands-on stuff to be in your environment. Now, eventually that wall is going to be green. I just haven't settled on what shade. Downstairs, I got different things going on. But I'm making this place a place that reflects who I am, the things that I like, and that is what growth indicates. I'm in this place because I outgrew my cabin. My personal growth needed more space. And I'm pretty set here. Anyway, that is what it means. I wish for you that. If you're still dealing with trauma symptoms, maybe we need to talk. Okay? That's cool. But I'm here as an ordinary guy. I'm nothing special, just an ordinary guy who happens to be living an extraordinary life. And a lot of that is because that's the way I make it. All right? Anyway, hey, have yourselves a great Wednesday. Wednesday? Is it today Wednesday? I do believe it is. What they normally call hump day. Cool. Get out and let's make life happen, all right? Talk to you later. Bye.